BTS's 2025 party has undoubtedly been one of the most special of all. Not only because it marked the members' return after completing their military service, but because it gave us a long-awaited moment, seeing Taehyung and Jungkook together again. For those of us who have followed their story, this reunion meant much more than just a public appearance. It was confirmation that their bond remains intact, strong, and full of that unique connection that has always characterized them. For years, the connection between Taehyung and Jungkook has been evident to anyone who observes them closely. They don't need to say anything to express what they feel. With just a glance, they show us that their relationship goes beyond the superficial. And at this party, although the moments between them were brief, they were full of meaning. Each of those seconds was enough to confirm that, even after being apart for so long, their bond remains more alive than ever. One of the most talked about moments occurred when Jungkook made some funny gestures for Taehyung, as he often did before. It was a moment full of tenderness. However, in the middle of that little game, something happened. Jungkook suddenly stopped, looked straight ahead, and stopped moving. Taehyung also noticed what was happening and turned his head, apparently to see someone from the staff who was calling them out. That scene made evidence something that has been noticed before. Sometimes, it seems like there are people around trying to limit or interrupt those natural moments between them. And that hurts. Because those of us who admire Taehyung and Jungkook know that their relationship is genuine. It's not an act, and it's not something that can be forced or hidden. They simply have each other. They seek each other out effortlessly, they understand each other without speaking, and that shows every time they're around. Watching how, at this party, they were trying to share a moment together, and noticing that something or someone interfered, was painful. Because it shouldn't be this way. They should be able to show themselves as they are, without restrictions, without fear of being judged or controlled. This isn't the first time it's happened. We've seen before how certain dynamics within the group, or even company decisions, have tried to reduce interaction between them. Meanwhile, another type of more commercial relationship is being promoted, like that between Jimin and Jungkook, which many know is based on a deep friendship, but which is promoted for other purposes. And it's not bad that there's closeness between other members, but what hurts is when they try to replace something as real as what exists between Taehyung and Jungkook with something that feels more manufactured. Over the years, Taehyung and Jungkook have proven they have a unique connection. It's not just what we see on stage, but what happens in spontaneous, off-script moments. The way they look at each other, how they position themselves next to each other, how they search for each other in the crowd, all of that speaks for itself. And when someone repeats that type of behavior with the same person over time, it's not a coincidence. No matter how much time passes, even after the months of distance imposed by military service, they remain the same. Maybe more mature, maybe more cautious because of the environment that surrounds them, but with the same sparkle in their eyes when they're together. That was what we saw at this Festa 2025. And no matter how much some want to deny what's between them or try to separate them, the truth always finds a way to come out. It's sad to know that there are people who don't accept their closeness. Some fans even insist that they stay away, simply because they prefer to see Jungkook with another member or because they don't want to acknowledge that there's something special between him and Taehyung. But the truth is, that won't change how they feel. Because what they have doesn't depend on the approval of others. It's something they've built over time, with respect, trust, and mutual affection. Something that doesn't need words to be felt. Every time we see them together, even if it's only for a few seconds, we feel like everything makes sense again. That despite the difficulties, the schedules, the external noise, they continue to find ways to be there for each other. And that's what makes us admire them even more. Because it's not easy to maintain such a sincere connection in the midst of a world that constantly watches, judges, and pressures them. But they do it, and they do it with a naturalness that's moving. Personally, I can't help but feel tenderness every time I see them together. They make me believe in real bonds, in relationships that aren't broken by distance or imposed rules. They make me feel that despite everything, love always finds a way. And that's what I value most about them. I hope that one day they can show themselves as they are, without limitations. That they can share their moments without anyone trying to hold them back. Because what they have is something beautiful, and it deserves to be respected, celebrated, and protected. This Festa 2025 reminded us that the bond between Taehyung and Jungkook remains as strong as ever. Even though there are those who want to separate them, they continue to give us signs that they are united. And as long as that continues to happen, we will continue to be here, supporting them, admiring them, and celebrating each of those moments in which they give us a little piece of their story. For many years, Taehyung and Jungkook have shared a very special relationship. It's not just a friendship or working together in the same band. What exists between them is something deeper, more intimate, something that is evident without words. Just seeing the way they look at each other, the way they approach each other, or the way they care for each other, is enough to understand that there is true affection between them. They don't shout it out to the world, but they don't hide it either. They simply live it. Their relationship doesn't need a label to be understood. When two people understand each other as well as they do, when they support each other in every moment and are so attentive to each other, it's easy to realize that they are connected in a unique way. And that's what makes them so special. They don't have to prove anything to anyone because they already do it every time they are together. There are many ways to show affection, and Taehyung and Jungkook do it with gestures that don't seem planned. For example, they hold hands without thinking, they hug each other calmly, they massage each other when one is tired or nervous, and they look at each other as if they feel safe being around each other. These are simple gestures, but full of meaning. And the most beautiful thing is that they don't only do it when there are cameras. It also happens in moments when they are alone, preparing for a concert, or when they think no one is watching. In several videos, you can see how they support each other before going on stage. One speaks to the other in a low voice, calming them down, encouraging them. Sometimes they are just silent, but together, as if that were enough to feel better. That trust isn't built overnight. It's something that comes from many years of knowing each other, of sharing important moments, and of caring for each other every step of the way. There's also something that's very striking, the way they look at each other. When Taehyung and Jungkook are close, their gazes change. There's calm, there's affection, and there's a kind of connection that's difficult to explain, but easy to see. There's no doubt they understand each other just by looking at each other. Many fans have noticed that this connection doesn't exist between all members of the group, at least not in the same way. There's a distinct closeness between them. When one is talking, the other listens attentively. When one feels uncomfortable, the other immediately notices. And when they're happy, you can tell they really enjoy being together. It doesn't matter if they're at a show, in an interview, or in a more private moment, their way of being together always conveys something beautiful. Over the years, they've shared many situations where their relationship is evident. At concerts, they inadvertently seek each other out. In performances, they touch each other naturally. On live broadcasts, they laugh at things only they understand. And although many people have tried to explain it, the truth is that what they have doesn't need to be explained. Because when something is real, it can be felt. And that's what happens with them. There are those who think it could all be part of a show. But when the gestures are so constant, so natural, and repeated for years, you realize there's something genuine behind them. No one can fake affection every day, all the time. And the gestures between Taehyung and Jungkook don't seem forced. On the contrary, they seem part of their way of life, of relating. One of the most beautiful things about their story is that they don't try to hide what they feel. They're not afraid to touch each other, to hug each other, or to be in close proximity. They care for each other with great respect, but also with great affection. That freedom to show themselves as they are is inspiring. Because it's not easy to be so sincere in front of so many people. Furthermore, their relationship has grown over time. From their early years in the group, when they were younger and everything was new, to now that they've matured and learned to care for each other even more. Their affection has also evolved. They're not just co-workers. Nor are they just friends. They're two people who truly love each other, who have learned to trust each other, and who support each other in every important moment. Many people are moved by seeing them together because their relationship exudes peace. There's no drama or exaggeration. What exists between them is a sincere connection, based on trust, respect, and love. And it shows in every detail, in the way they hold hands, in the way they share a glance, in the way they are there when the other needs it. Taehyung and Jungkook have created a story together. A story full of special moments, true affection, and gestures that speak louder than any words. No matter how many times they try to deny what they see, their actions always speak louder. And that's why so many people support them and be.